All right, you guys. Welcome, everybody. We are about to get started. Hi, everybody in the chat. Welcome as you fill into the room. Good morning. good evening, good afternoon. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Today is Sunday, August 23rd, 2020, and we are getting ready to go into episode 4 of our People of the Lie review series. The topic of tonight's episode is the Obstinate Brat. And I know you guys have heard me call them that before. And tonight we are going to verify and take a look at why that is absolutely 100% true and a hallmark feature of evil people in general, but also narcissists in general. Welcome to everybody. It's still morning in some parts. So good morning, good afternoon, where I am, and good evening to everyone else in other parts of the world. Welcome, you guys. Happy Sunday. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Thank you for joining me today. As always, we have the same disclaimers that we've had. We will always have these disclaimers. So if you plan on watching each episode of the series, you can just fast forward past this part. But remember that every live stream, somebody new is present. So we have to do it for the people who are new, okay? So this whole entire series, People of the Lie, is dealing with evil and spirituality and religion to an extent. If you identify as an atheist and you can't stand to hear spiritual content, this may not be the series for you. However, I would highly encourage you to have an open mind and just listen and see what you can pick out from everything that we're discussing, because I think you'll find there is some universal applicability there, okay? Next, this content has the potential to be very psychologically triggering, okay? There are some people who are reading the book and they just have to put it down every few pages to process what's on the pages, what's unlocking for them, what they're coming to understand. So please know that this is not really lighthearted. I mean, we will have our laughs here and there, but this is not really lighthearted content, and it's not the type of content that you can easily forget. Just listening to the playback on my last one, I was preaching to myself on more than one occasion. I was like, man, whew, this is heavy stuff. So if it ends up being a little bit too heavy for you, do know that we have a resource in BetterHelp. I, unfortunately, am not a resource for those of you going through something tremendously psychologically triggering. I don't have the training or the licensing, guys, okay? I speak solely from my experiences and all the data I've collected over the years, okay? So I am not a therapist that would be available to you. This is the most therapy I can offer you, okay? What we talk about on this channel, and we do have a therapy resource in BetterHelp, licensed counselors over there. You can get a discount with my code, Permission to Exist. The link is on your screen and in the description box, okay? So if you start to freak out, please call somebody, and you do have an option here in BetterHelp, okay? That said, those disclaimers out of the way, this is the book that we are reviewing, People of the Lie, The Hope for Healing Human Evil by M. Scott Peck. So far, we have only covered chapter 1, and we are actually wrapping up chapter 2 today, finally. So it took 3 episodes to get through chapter 2. So that should tell you something right there. If it took 3 episodes just to get through 1 chapter, that's how deep this content goes, okay? So far, I've really been enjoying it. I think you guys have been too. So why don't we go ahead and jump right into it, all right? The theme of today's episode is the Obstinate Brat. Obstinate is one of my favorite words, and I do love to pair it with the word brat, the obstinate brat, because in many ways, this is what we're dealing with when we're dealing with narcissistic people and individuals. You know, we've called them all kinds of names. We've tried to stay away from calling them names related to like children, because children can't help it. They're learning, they're growing, they're coming into an understanding. So it's really not fair to constantly compare them to children, because children are still growing. They have an excuse. Adult narcissists do not, okay? But you just can't help it sometimes when you feel a certain way. The first word or the first feeling that pops into your mind is generally what you'll use. So that's why we often use these terms. And that's why we will be using this term tonight, the obstinate brat. Now, I recognize that everyone may not know what the word obstinate means. So I pulled this definition, just a quick Google search. It means stubbornly refusing to change one's opinion or or chosen course of action despite attempts to persuade one to do so. Some synonyms for you: stubborn, headstrong, willful, unyielding, inflexible, unbending. Doesn't this all sound familiar? All of these terms, couldn't all these terms be used interchangeably? Couldn't we swap them out when talking about dealing with this particular group of people, narcissists and evil people? All right. So the word that hops out on this screen is willful, because we're starting on page 77, which is still in chapter 2. And the title of this chapter is Narcissism and Will. And I almost titled this live stream that, but I felt like the obstinate brat really hit home. I felt like that would really speak to you more than narcissism and will. Okay. So today we are going to be discussing the obstinate brat and how that plays into narcissism on the whole. Okay. So let's jump right in, you guys. We are in Narcissism and Will, starting off on page 78. He says, malignant narcissism is characterized by an unsubmitted will, meaning simply just can't be broken, can't be house trained, can't be domesticated, can't be anything, just unbending, even to their own destruction, even to their own demise, meaning they are so hard-headed, malignant narcissists, that they can't change their mind even for themselves. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay. So they are their own God, essentially. Malignant narcissism is characterized by an unsubmitted will, meaning that they really can't submit to anything, not even themselves, which is really not good, you guys, because being able to submit to yourself is kind of at the heart of discipline. It's one thing to submit to an authority or to submit to someone who's more powerful than you or stronger than you or bigger than you. That's one thing, because you really sort of don't have a choice. You're outgunned, you're outmanned, you're outmatched. But to be able to submit to yourself is at the core of discipline. It's at the heart of discipline. And if you can't even submit to yourself, where you're really the only one you have to answer to, you're going to have a lot of struggles in life. Okay. So let's continue. Still on page 78, it says all adults who are mentally healthy submit themselves one way or another to something higher than themselves, be it God or truth or love or some other ideal. So I found this interesting, and it reminded me of something I said, I don't know, a couple videos ago, a couple live streams ago, where I said, people who don't believe in God or who don't believe in a higher power are dangerous. And people misinterpreted that as me saying that people who are atheists are dangerous people. And it's not what I meant. And I don't think it's what I said either. I just don't remember what video it's on. But what I meant was, it's not the fact that you don't believe in God specifically. It's the fact that you don't believe anything is higher than you. That's the point. It's not the religious aspect. It's the fact that you don't believe anything is above you. Anything. You think you are the top. So if you are the top, who do you answer to? That's what I meant by that. I didn't mean that, if you don't believe in Jesus and God and the Christ, you're a wicked person. That's not at all what I was saying. What I was saying is, if you can at least walk out into nature and go, wow, look at all those stars. I wonder how they got there. I wonder why they stay there. I wonder what else is out there. I wonder who made this. If you can't even do that, yeah, probably a dangerous person because they don't believe in karma. They don't believe in cause and effect. They don't believe in ultimate consequence. They don't believe there's going to be an ultimate punishment. And there may not be. Here's the thing, guys. There may not be. I mean, I personally believe there is, but I could be wrong. I could be. I'm open to the fact that I could be wrong about that. But I'd rather err on the side of caution than just kind of live recklessly and go, well, I hope there's no ultimate judgment for this. I'm going to kind of do whatever I want and hope that there's no fallout from this on the other side, versus a person who exercises caution because there might be, then they get to the other side and go, oh man, there was no consequence. Well, at least I wasn't a horrible person in life. Hey, there was no consequence here in the end, but at least I didn't live my life callously and cold and destroy other people. You know what I mean? So anyway, this got me to thinking about some other things as well. So I started to think about what other things we actually submit to in this life. For those who don't believe in God or a higher power or anything spiritual or anything, I guess you could even say sci-fi. There are other things that we submit to, whether we like it or not. So let's go through a few of those things. Number one, we submit to natural laws, okay? You can jump off that building if you want to. I hope you have a parachute. I hope there's something down there to cushion your fall, because if you jump, you're going to fall, like period. There's a whole host of natural laws that we are submitted to, a whole host of them, right? Now, science and physics and technology do override some of those, but not for very long, because as soon as the science or technology fails, it's going to go right back to natural laws. It's going to convert, is what I'm basically saying. So you can design something to kind of, like, for example, flight. Flight is in line with physics, but what I mean is, without the physics, you wouldn't get that bird off the ground, meaning airplanes is what I'm talking about. Human beings do not fly. That is a current natural law, but we overrode that natural law by the design of airplanes, but we are still beholden to those laws, are we not? Even when you put those big birds up in the sky, you are still beholden to natural law. Play around with natural law if you want to, with those sky birds, and see what happens. Okay? Which is why the science and technology behind them is so important, because you literally cannot get up there and play with natural law, even though you've overridden the first one, which is human beings do not fly. Moving on, we are beholden to our own bodies, okay? Meaning, at some point, you're going to get sleepy. Yes, some people have the ability to stay awake for days, but are they the healthiest people that we know? Probably not. I think they've even done experiments where they've deprived people of sleep and they basically went insane. So we're beholden to things like sleep. We're beholden to hunger, right? We're beholden to our biological functions in terms of clearing ourselves out. You can try to hold it as long as you want to, but eventually your body's going to go, all right, well, sorry about your genes. Gotta go now. Sorry. We tried to hang in there with you, but you just didn't make it this time. Okay. We're beholden to that. Ladies are beholden to a certain monthly occurrence for a duration of time throughout our lives, whether we like it or not. Oh God, whether we like it or not. And yes, they make medication that can help you skip it and all that, but I mean, just let nature have its way. Okay. So we're beholden in many ways to our own bodies. Okay. You're going to submit to that body one way or another. We're beholden to math and mathematics. That's fun. That's fun when you really discover math wins every time. Math wins every time. And once you stop bucking up against math and stop wrestling with mathematics, your life will start to change. Truly, you know, when you do your reflections and say, how do I lie to myself? And what ways do I lie to myself? Mathematics might be one of those ways that you actually lie to yourself. You've convinced yourself somehow that you've overridden mathematics. You haven't. And it proves it to you every time. Yeah, I just happened to glance at the chat. It says many businesses struggle with this one, I think. I think you're talking about math. Absolutely. Like if we just submitted ourselves to math, our society would improve overnight, I think, if we just submitted to math. But y'all are going to take me down a pettynomics rabbit hole. Pettynomics, go subscribe. We are beholden to reality. People try to override reality every day. And reality can be defined as nothing more than what actually happened. And I think I got this from this book. I think I got that idea from the book we're reading. It may have been somewhere else, but I'm pretty sure it was in this book where he was basically saying psychotherapy is nothing more than getting people to face reality or something like that. But reality is nothing more than what actually happened. Not your interpretation of it, not how you feel about it, but what actually took place. Which is why documentation is so important, guys. In any way, written, photographic, video, whatever you can do to document the things that are taking place and make them indisputable, you'll win, okay? Because reality is nothing more than what actually happened, okay? We are beholden to cause and effect. Narcissists love to try to override this one, cause and effect. Oh, they try to butt cause and effect so bad. And they lose every time, which is why they often implode. And we've talked about that before, because they are trying to override cause and effect and you can't do it. So that's some people would view it as a downside to living in this particular reality that we are in. We are free, but we're not really free, you guys. We're free, but not really, because we are beholden to all of these things, all of them. So your best bet is to learn how to work with these things versus bucking up against them and trying to override them, because you're going to lose. And I think what the narcissist struggles with is the fact that we are going to lose to these things if you struggle against them. The narcissist hates that. The narcissist desires to be above all of these things, and they are not. So we are in a universe of laws, natural laws, man-made laws, which can be debated and argued. But above all other things, we are beholden to these things. And if you think you can buck all of those, one thing you're not going to buck is nature. You're not going to override nature. Yes, magical thinking, exactly. Yeah, try to override nature. I mean, we have umbrellas, we put roofs on our houses. We do all of these things to override or to really work with, right? The umbrella is to work with the rain. The roof is to work with the wind and the rain, right? So we design all of these things to work with nature, but even still with all of our fancy little designs, nature loves to override us anyway. Every now and then she just comes through and wipes it all out, just to remind us, even if you think you're above natural laws, your own body, mathematics, reality, cause and effect, you're not above me. You still haven't designed something that can withstand a good earthquake or a good strong hurricane or a flood. You still haven't come up with the way. Now you've come up with different designs here and there to work with those, like some of the buildings in earthquake prone areas have those, I think they're called posts, I don't know, that are designed to wobble as the earth is wobbling. So, and that I believe helps, But I think even some of those still come down if the earthquake is strong enough. You're not going to override a tornado. So, you know, and this is just what it is. And then finally, even if you think that you're above all of those things, you're not going to override life and death. You didn't override your birth, and you're not going to override your death. Now, yes, you can prolong life and you can engage in different behaviors that prolong life. But how many freak accidents have we heard about that happen to very healthy people and just boom, gone, just like that? So no matter how healthy you are, no matter how much you exercise or don't, eat clean or don't, take your vitamins or don't, you're still not going to override that final day. And it's just a sad reality, but it is a reality. So the truth of the matter is, once you kind of accept these things, your life becomes easier, because once you realize, okay, we're not going to override death, so then let me make my life valuable. Let me enjoy it. Let me make it count for something. Let me treasure the people in it. Let me be treasured by the people in it. There's a YouTuber, I don't know his name off the top of my head, but his tagline and his catchphrase is "Go where you are treated best." And I like that. Go where you're treated best. It has something to do with, I think his channel is called Nomad Capitalism is what it's called. But he says, go where you're treated best. So you're supposed to maximize your life for these reasons. You understand? But of course, narcs think they're invincible and that they can override all of these things. And they become very frustrated when they discover that they can't. All right. So this made me think of something. And I have the quote here on your screen. This is not out of the book. This is something I thought of. And it says, people who submit to nothing usually have the lives to show for it. And really, really think about that. Think about the people who submit to nothing. Another way to phrase this would be to say, you can't tell them anything. Or in the South, you can't tell them nothing. Can't tell them nothing. You can't tell them anything. You can't tell them nothing. People who submit to nothing usually have the lives to show for it. And I would start firing off examples, but I feel like it could get very sensitive and very touchy very fast. So I'll let you think of your own examples, but just think about the people who are not driven by any consequence whatsoever. Think about how their lives generally look. Generally, in one way or another, their lives are in shambles. So the people who, for example, don't submit to math, think about where their lives are. The people who don't submit to, let's go back to this little list. We'll just use this list. Think about what happens to people who don't submit to natural laws. They often end up hurt in some way, injured, or sometimes KO'd, like out of here. Think about the people who don't submit to their own bodies. Now that might be strange. Like, how do you not submit to your own body? But think about it. I'll just use this as an example because we've talked about it before. There are people who hold their movements, their restroom, if you will, all day. Like they'll just hold it, like hold it. I guarantee you they have some sort of kidney problems, bladder problems, UTI, some sort of issues up in there because they're not submitting to their own body. You understand? Now, I get not wanting to use public restrooms. Trust me, okay? Like, by all means, I try to get home. But there are some times where you're just like, okay, you win, body. Let's go find a bathroom and let's just touch as few things as we can and wash our hands very, very well. You know what I mean? So there's an example. Math, we could use a million different examples for that. People who refuse to submit to math, what their lives look like. People who refuse to submit to reality. Think about what their lives look like. We've got tons of examples right now, but I won't go down them. People who just absolutely refuse to accept reality, what their life looks like. People who refuse to acknowledge and submit to cause and effect. People who refuse to submit to nature. Think about what happens to those kinds of people? Think about what's happening to us as a collective for our refusal to submit to nature and what we're doing to this planet. And I'm talking about without regard to whether or not you believe in global warming, climate change. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about simply look at the dumps, look at the landfills, look at all the trash everywhere. Look at it. We did that. Look at the lakes and the rivers that we polluted and destroyed. You can find pictures of people who have like photographs of lakes from like 20 or 30 years ago, and they were relatively clear, cloudy, dirty, and murky now. Disgusting. We did that. We can put the climate change argument to the side. We did that. Look at our beaches. Most of our beaches are not very pretty anymore. We did that. We did that stuff. So we refuse to submit to nature because we think, oh, if I just throw this bottle in the ocean will just dissolve it. It doesn't. It collects over time. So that would be cause and effect. And then finally, the people who refuse to submit, you can't really refuse to submit to life, your own, I mean, but think about the people who refuse to submit to death. Their life often looks like a life lived as if a dying day wasn't coming, meaning they didn't value the people in their life. They didn't treasure the people, the places, the things, the pets. They didn't take care of things. They didn't take care of business. So won't say that. That'll step on toes. All I'll say is they didn't take care of business. They didn't do what was required for the next generation. Because why would you set things up for the next generation if you think you're always going to be here? Like, oh, I don't need to prepare them for anything. I'll take care of it or not. I'll always be here. So they don't need to learn how to cook or learn how to, build something or learn how to take care of themselves because I'll always be here to take care of them. So didn't set up for the next generation because they thought they would always be here. So that's what their life often looks like, a life led as if they were going to be around forever. Like, what if you were guaranteed 500 years? Half of you probably wouldn't have even started school yet. Why? You're going to be alive for 500 years. You might as well start going to school like at age 100. Enjoy the first 100 years of your life, just doing whatever, and then start school at age 100. But why 100? Wait till age 200. Do you see what I'm saying? If you knew you had all this time, you would probably slow things down dramatically. There's a lot of things you wouldn't do because you're like, man, I'm 75 years old. I'm going to be here quite a few more years. I'm not doing that. I have plenty of time to do that. Do you see what I mean? Okay, so let's continue. Again, people who submit to nothing usually have the lives to show for it. And that is not a compliment, by the way. If anyone was taking that as a compliment, it's not. Moving on, we're still on page 78. This is what I would consider to be a definition of true love. It says what their beloved needs becomes more important to them than their own gratification. Okay. And I just thought this was so important. We've talked about this before. I do have a video called What is Love Really? And I do believe it's still up on YouTube. And we get into that. And this, I think I touch on this, but maybe not. But what your beloved needs becomes more important to you than your own gratification, basically. And no, this is not codependence. Not to be confused with codependency, okay? Where you just put their needs above yours all the time and your needs are absolutely never met. This is really intended to be reciprocal. So if you're in a truly loving relationship, your loved one is your spouse or mate is putting your needs above theirs, and you're also putting their needs above yours. So now that can devolve into, well, what do you want to eat? Well, what do you want to eat? Well, whatever you want to eat. Well, whatever you want to eat. So it can devolve into a lack of decision making, but it's not meant to be taken that far. Essentially, like, I'll give you a perfect example. My little puppy loves to destroy paper. She does, right? So every now and then, like if I wash my hands and I dry them off with a paper towel, she'll see the paper towel in my hand and start going crazy. Like, oh, mama, please. Oh, come on, please let me have that. Now, my needs are a clean house. I like a clean house. I don't like paper towel bits strewn everywhere, right? But the joy it gives her destroying that paper towel supersedes my need for a clean house, because when she's done, I'll just go clean it up. And yes, I've added a little time to my schedule, 5 minutes, picking up all the pieces or just vacuuming them up. Now, if I was putting my needs above hers, I'd be like, nope, you're not getting this, and just throw it away. And sometimes I do, believe it or not, especially if I just got finished cleaning up. I'm like, girl, no, I just got finished cleaning this house. You're not going to tear it up. But I eventually cave, and give her her little piece of paper, and it makes her so happy, tearing up that paper towel. So that's a simple example, but I think it's a good one. So my need is for a clean house. I desire a clean house, but her little puppy need is to tear that paper up to bits and pieces. And the joy it brings her supersedes my need for a clean house. Does that make sense? So hopefully you can apply that principle to other areas in your life. You understand? So I think the marriages that really work are the marriages that ultimately understand this. And the marriages that fail are the marriages where one partner or the other, or even both really, are demanding that their needs be first and foremost always. That is at the heart of that video, How the Narcissistic Male Views Marriage. And I know it's a little unfair because I still haven't made the backup video to that, which is How the Narcissistic Female Views Marriage. I will one day, I promise. But How the Narcissistic Male Views Marriage is almost at 1 million views. So I really want to get it there first, and then I'll do the backup video. How's that for an agreement? Push that video to 1 million views, and I'll do the follow-up, How the Narcissistic Female Views Marriage. But anyway, that's kind of at the core of that video, which is one spouse's needs supersede the other spouse's needs always, never caving or catering to the other spouse's needs. It's completely imbalanced. It's like 100-0 or like 90-10 or 80-20. It's completely lopsided. And that's why those marriages fail. Because one person desires to be worshiped. And that's why it's so important to believe in something higher than yourself. Because if you don't think anything is above you, then you will think you're supposed to be worshiped. You see what I'm saying? Like, oh, I put you in this big, pretty house. Worship me. Not let's worship the provider, worship the giver of this resource, the one who blessed this pathway, bless the job, bless the finances, bless this ground so the house could be built, bless the transaction so we could actually buy it, so we give thanks and praise and honor to the one who blessed this whole situation. Not a narcissist, though. A narcissist will say, you praise me for this house. I'm the one who paid for this. I'm the one who made this happen. Praise me for that. That's the difference. So you're dealing with a little king or a little queen if they demand praise for all things and they don't ever submit to something higher. Like I've even, people who might be atheistic sometimes you'll hear them say, well, if there is a God, they were looking out for me that day. Or they'll say something like, well, I don't believe in God, but, I can't call it anything else other than divine intervention or something like that. You see? So, okay, we're good. Yeah. So they have trouble acknowledging anything other than what they can see, hear, feel, smell, whatever. Anything outside of that does not exist to them, including you. You only exist to serve them in their bubble. All right. So let's move on. Still on page 78. Welcome to everybody in the chat. Hi. It says, in the conflict between their guilt and their will, it is the guilt that must go and the will that must win. Do you understand? So this is why when you confront them about things, oftentimes they have to flee from you. They have to get away from you because what you're doing is triggering that guilt. And that is one emotion they refuse to feel. Anytime they feel guilt, they stuff it out, stomp it out, neutralize it, numb it, or try to flee from it. Which is why if the narcissist is cornered and you confront them, essentially you are performing an exorcism on them. You are, because you're forcing that guilt to come up and be faced. You see, you're forcing those emotions that they've been running from and refusing to acknowledge all these years. Which is part of the reason I think they're so repetitive and they attempt to like rehash the same day over and over, because at least in that day that they're repeating, there's no guilt there. But if you move on to a new day, new days start to show the effects of the day before. So the decisions you make today are going to reflect tomorrow, or maybe not even tomorrow. It could be a week from now, a month from now, but things you do today start to manifest later. So if the narcissist allows the day to go on to a different day and a new day, the consequences of the actions start to manifest and they can't help but face it or be forced to look at it. But if we just keep it on day one, I never have to face the consequences that appear on day 30. Okay? Page 78, it says the reader will be struck by the extraordinary willfulness of evil people. Absolutely. And we've talked about this before. So persistent, so consistent, so repetitive, so predictable, headstrong, like just head down, eyes blank, charging forward. Like a zombie, maybe. Their will is almost unbreakable. It's unbelievable. It's part of the reason I won't deal with them. Once I discover who they are, what they are, I run my little tests and my theories to check to see if I'm correct, because I could be wrong. And I want y'all to always remember that as well. When you suspect someone might be a narcissist, honor that feeling and that instinct, but always verify, because you could be wrong. You're probably not, but always leave room for the possibility that you could be wrong. Because if we just start to automatically go, oh, narc, oh, narc, oh, narc, we could be ultimately doing the same thing that they kind of do. So you want to always leave room for the possibility, which is why I always check. And typically without fail, I'm 100% correct. And one of my main ways to check these people is I just start asking them questions. I just ask honest, open-ended questions. And they typically flame out, frazzle out, spiral out, become insane and crazy. And all I've done is asked a couple of questions. Okay? So that's typically all I need to see and know. Like if you refuse to just engage in simple, honest dialogue, you're probably one of these people. And I could never verify further because we can't even have a normal conversation, you see? So they kind of X themselves out. But yes, some of the most stubborn, oh man, hard-headed, willful people you'll ever meet in life. Impossible, insufferable. So I thought of a few other terms to describe willfulness. So we have the stubbornness, of course, the consistency of it all, the repetitiveness and the predictability of it all, the hard-headedness, and believe it or not, the controlling nature as well. The controlling nature of it all, because that desire to kind of grab you around the neck and shoulders and kind of guide you around is very, very strong and deep-rooted in these people. Okay? So let's continue. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining. So this is on page 78 and 79. It says the will of less, Okay, I can do this. The will of less evolved creatures seems largely under the control of their instincts. When humans evolved from the apes, however, they largely evolved out from under such instinctual controls and hence into free will. Okay, so we're not here to debate evolution. We're here to talk about the concept that's being presented here, which is that based on the evolutionary theory, when we were less evolved, we were just kind of driven by our instincts, or what's it called? Y'all help me. The root stem, the brain stem, the reptilian brain, something like that. What's the correct term for this? Your base, the thing that controls your base functionality, your breathing, eating, sleeping. I don't remember what it's called. But basically, when we were less evolved, we were driven by that entirely. Okay. Hungry, eat. Thirsty, drink. Horny, sex. Baby, birth. Baby, protect. Uh-oh, danger, run. Danger, gone, safe. So when you when you are operating off of such a root elementary system, your behavior can kind of be excused. Like, we don't get mad at wild animals for hunting down and killing other animals for food. That's what they do. They're driven 100% by prey instincts, prey and predator instincts. Like, sorry, you are what I eat. I apologize for that. I'll try to make this quick, and then they go catch whatever it is, kill it, eat it. But they didn't go kill it because it looked like a fun thing to do. Like, oh, I'm going to go just kill that gazelle for fun. Like, it just looks like fun. Just, chase it down and kill it. Why not? No, they're doing it to eat. So at least they still have a purpose behind it. We don't call it violent. I mean, I can't watch it. I still think it's sad. But if they were more evolved, they would just walk into the pet store and be like, hello, yes, may I have some tiger kibble, please? And get their little bag of tiger kibble and walk out, So, but they're driven by is it the limbic stem, the limbic stem? Is it that? They're driven by that. They can't help it. Humans, on the other hand, are supposed to be able to think higher thoughts. We're supposed to be able to. However, in my most recently released video called Are Narcissists the Real Walking Dead?, we are entertaining the idea that these people don't have higher thoughts because essentially they are humans who are actively functioning in a vegetative state. Essentially. And they confirm this in a variety of different ways. They just may not know what to call it. But I've certainly heard narcissists say before, I don't know what's wrong with me. Something is wrong. Something's wrong with me. They'll say it, you guys, when they're feeling particularly vulnerable, or if you're someone that they recognize they just cannot break. Sometimes they'll just start being very honest with you. I'm not sure what it is. I don't know if it's the demon confessing, the demon presenting itself for judgment. I'm not sure. But when they stop trying to attack you or siphon from you, again, it's almost like you make them your pet. It's very strange. I might have to do a video on that. But they'll just say it. They'll say things like, I can't be alone. I don't like to be alone because my brain, I'm like, what's happening with your brain when you're alone? I'm like, oh, okay. I've heard others say, something is wrong with me. I don't know what's wrong with me. And I'm telling you, this is probably it. Part of their brain is deactivated, largely in part by their own choices. And we'll get to that. But a section or a segment of their brain is not functional, and they don't know how to describe that. How do you tell someone, I'm not all the way alive? Hello, sir, ma'am, I'm not all the way alive, and I don't know how to fix it. How do you tell somebody that? So to me, this is this in my mind, y'all know I like to explore different religious theories because I'm not 100% sold on what we've been told. But to me, this is what being saved is. You're asking God, please turn on the other side of my brain. Please activate me. Please make me human again. Please save me from this reprobate mind. Please. That's what you're asking for when you're asking to be saved. Please rescue me from that. Because there's got to be nothing worse than actually being alive and dead at the same time. Because to be dead is dead, as far as we know. Like, we don't know what's going on necessarily, but from what we understand, to be dead is dead. So imagine how horrifying it is to actually still be able to wake up, walk around, do things, but you're actually dead. And you know it, but you can't describe it. You know what's going on. You know something is wrong, but you don't know what to call it because, well, half of your brain is dead. Okay. So essentially, I believe that might be part of this. It's like they're under the control of that root stem or the limbic stem or whatever it is. They're under the control of that. They have no access to their higher order thoughts, capabilities, functionalities, critical thinking, none of that. They have no access to any of it. And they know it's supposed to be there because they watch you. They're watching you move around like, wow, being human is so cool. Look at her go. She has so many little thoughts and emotions. Wow. She really seems to be enjoying that food. I can't taste anything, but she seems to really like that. She laughs. I wish I could laugh. It's like if I only had a brain, 10 man type situation. Don't get me started, y'all. Y'all know I will go off and go way deep down that rabbit hole, okay? I'm telling you, there's going to be a disclosure. These people are getting closer to telling us that this is real. I'm telling you. Watch. Maybe next year they'll tell us. I mean, they've already told us about the unidentified flying objects. So it's only a matter of time before they tell us, hey guys, listen. So there's a large number of people walking around that are actually not fully functional. And people will be like, oh yeah, we know there are idiots everywhere. It's like, nah, it goes beyond idiot. It's a little bit further than idiot. Then they'll have free CAT scans or free PET scans for people for you to go in and get your brain scanned to see if half of it is actually dead. And then it'll be a huge thing. And then they'll have to figure out a treatment to reactivate all of these people. And if that ever happens, then this channel will become obsolete and I can do my baking with PTE. Okay. Page 79, it was unthinkable that he, Satan, was imperfect. So it's like, this is the one thought that Satan could not tolerate. The idea that he wasn't perfect, especially in God's eyes. And because he refused to receive correction or rebuke or chastisement, he rebelled and got kicked the F out. You got kicked out. For that attitude and that spirit, you got kicked out. And unfortunately, he came down to earth and has propagated at a level that is almost uncheckable. Okay. So almost unable to be corrected, but I do believe we're in the beginning stages of the correction process. But remember, this goes back to, I think, last episode, episode 3, Mirror, Mirror. Like, this is the starting point of evil. The inability to look within and find your imperfections and accept them, not to beat yourself up, but to work on them, to improve upon them, to acknowledge them, especially the ones that harm others if they do. You want to fix those first. But you certainly want to fix those that harm yourself as well. It's about being humble enough to acknowledge your flaws and work on them, not ignore them and pretend they don't exist, even though you're seeing the results of their existence every day. They exist. Just because you ignore them doesn't mean they don't. And you're seeing the fruits of that every single day, but you're pretending like you don't. So, this is like the starting line of evil. This is where you start. You just cannot accept that you're not perfect. You see, we're not perfect. So, and if you think about it, don't all narcs think they are without blame? They think they're blameless. And that blamelessness makes them shameless, because you can't really have shame without blame. So they're blameless and shameless, uncorrectable grab bags of sin. So on page 79 still, it says, narcs are dangerous. All who are evil also take the law into their own hands to destroy life or liveliness in defense of their narcissistic self-image. In other words, they will do whatever it takes to maintain the image of perfection, and that is dangerous. Because if that means taking you out literally or figuratively, they will if it means protecting their image. Really think about that. So I gave the example an episode or two ago of the guy who was a hired hitman. And they finally caught up to him. And he was like, okay, you got me. But if you could do me a favor and just not tell my friends and family, because they think I'm a great guy. And it still creeps me out and gives me the chills every time I even say it or think about it, because it's like, I know a lot of great guys and a lot of great girls. I know a lot of great people, just great, all around great, like for all intents and purposes, great. By all accounts, great. All documented accounts, great. All undocumented accounts, great. I know a lot of great people. So it's terrifying to me, that statement that this guy made to the investigators, because it's like, yeah, up until that point, I'm sure they found out eventually, like when he didn't come home, where are you? Prison. But up until that point, they thought he was a great guy. That's frightening to me. Frightening. Now, it could be argued and debated whether or not he showed signs of this not so greatness, but keep in mind, they can be masters of illusion. They can perform very well in certain arenas, and then their real side comes out when they're away from the people who think that they're great. And that's what scares me, y'all. That's what scares me about marriage. And that's not a man thing per se, but it's just what if you are performing for me here at home thing. And I think what frightens me about that is because I've seen so many people take their mask off away from home. There are so many women who have no idea who their husband really is. No clue. No clue. Not a clue. And it's like these husbands, this is back really when I was in the corporate world. Once they realize they're not getting anywhere with me, I'm not cheating with you, I'm not going to be your side chick, I really don't even want to be your friend, they just kind of cave. Like they accept their fate, and they just start being very honest. And a lot of them would tell me things, show me pictures, tell me about different girls that are talking to them. And, oh yeah, I went to lunch with this person, and oh, it was nothing, like they just confess. The demons confess to me. I don't know what it is, but they do. And I would just sit there and think the whole time, like, God, I feel so sorry for your wife. I feel sorry for her because she thinks you're a great guy. She thinks you're great. And of course, this can go both ways, you guys. Obviously, this can go for the women as well, because women cheat also. I'm just using the examples from my life. I'm a woman, so I've seen the other side. This is the side I've seen. So anyway, I say all that to say that this double life protection of self-image thing is so real. And you should probably be suspicious of anyone who is just a little bit too perfect by all outward appearances. Now, don't get me wrong. We all have an image to maintain, because we don't just want to go out in the world sloppy and classless, because we see where that's getting us as a society. Like society, in my opinion, has just gotten so tacky because nobody cares anymore what you think about them. And it's not that you should, it's just that there's a certain level of decency I think we should maintain in neutral public. Public is supposed to be neutral. Does that make sense? Be whoever you want. in your in your home and in your space or whatever. But I feel like public is supposed to be kind of neutral, and that's gone. But anyway, my point is, you want to be aware of and wary of people who feel they have no flaws, never reveal any flaws. You know, you can't tell them something because you already know how they're going to react. So have you ever had the experience of where you go to another friend about a friend, and it's not in a backbiting way, it's in a way of truly seeking advice, and you say, hey friend A, I have this issue with friend B, and I don't know how to bring it up to them. And friend A will usually say, well, just go talk to them. Talk to them like you're talking to me. And you'll be like, ugh, yeah, I just don't think I can. Like, I don't, like you feel that hesitation. The reason you feel that hesitation is because you already know this is who you're dealing with. You just may not have the words to say it. You already know this is a person who believes they're without flaw, without blame, without responsibility, even if they've never actively displayed it to you. They may display it in other ways. So you already know that the issue you're having is going to cause chaos, and it might even end the friendship. You know that, which is why you're going to friend A saying, hey, I really need some advice on how to approach this issue with friend B. And friend A, bless their heart, has the simplistic response of, oh, just go talk to them. Sweetie, if I could just go talk to them, I wouldn't be here talking to you. Because instinctually, you know this is who you're dealing with. You know it. You just don't have the words for it, but you know it. Somehow you know it. So let's move on to page 79 and 80. Okay. Pride. It says, this kind of pride is a pride that unrealistically denies our inherent sinfulness and imperfection. A kind of overweening pride or arrogance that prompts people to reject and even attack the judgment implied by the day-to-day evidence of their own inadequacy. Whew, bars. Let's read that one more time because this is just so profound to me. This kind of pride is a pride that unrealistically denies our inherent sinfulness and imperfection, a kind of overweening pride or arrogance that prompts people to reject and even attack the judgment implied by the day-to-day evidence of their own inadequacy. Oh, God, this one moves me for some reason. Let's just break it down. So this type of narcissistic malignant pride, obviously it denies the imperfections that we all have, okay? Filled to the brim with arrogance. But what it causes them to do, and we've talked about this before, is it rejects usually the person and attacks the person because what they feel like is happening, and it kind of is you're implying judgment. But that judgment is implied based on the evidence, the day-to-day evidence of their own inadequacy. So in other words, every day your lack of perfection shows. But if that's ever brought to your attention, you go on the attack and on the defense, baby, to deny that day-to-day evidence. Like it's still coming out. But the main reason they go on the attack is because they feel judged, right? And the thing is, we are supposed to correct each other as long as we are correcting ourselves also. So you can't judge someone on something that you're doing until you fixed it and changed it and turned away from it. Then you can say, hey, sir, hey, ma'am, I used to, or hey, friend, really. Hopefully you're not going around judging strangers. But hey, friend, hey, brother, hey, sister, I used to have that same problem and I struggled with it. And here's how I fixed it. I see you struggling with the same thing, friend. Here's how I fixed it. If that advice works for you, I hope so. But we're supposed to make assessments. What we're not supposed to be doing is judging others, and we have all of our own stuff to fix. Fix your stuff, fix yourself first, but fixing what narcissists want is to never be criticized ever. So what they usually say is, only God can judge me, or judge not, lest ye be judged first. Well, correct. You get judged first. And if you are assessed to be clean and clear, now you can judge. So in other words, correct yourself, engage in self-correction, self-rebuke, self-disapproval, correct those things. And then, yes, you can speak on those other things in people. You just can't be sitting on the same type of chair, calling your chair ugly. Hey, your chair is ugly. I'm like, your chair is ugly. Same chair I'm in. You see? So anyway, reject and even attack the judgment implied by the day-to-day evidence of their own inadequacy. Whew. Which to me, this is where your hoarders come in again. Because it's kind of like, hey, Maul, hey, Paul, your backyard's getting kind of stacked up there. Don't you judge me. Your house isn't all that clean. Well, no, but I don't have refrigerators and dishwashers and bicycles and Coke bottles in my backyard, though. Do you want some help? I'll help you clean it out. Don't you judge me. And before you know it, that pile has gotten to the point where the city is involved because they couldn't stand the judgment implied, which is you're not taking care of your house and home. You're hoarding. I mean, it's true. And it's not that it makes them bad people and you good people, but it is an assessment. Like, hey, you have 6 refrigerators in your backyard, friend. Are you going to do something with those? They're getting really dirty and pests are starting to take over. There's a full bee's nest in one of them. I get honey from those bees. You don't judge me. Okay. All right. 6 years later, city's involved. On to the fruits of evil, page 80. It says, despite its fruits, Bobby's parents saw no fault in their childcare. So you would have to be following along the series or have read the book to know who Bobby is and what Bobby's parents did. In the spirit of keeping this stream monetized, I'm not going to rehash, but just know there were some very real fruits that Bobby's parents' childcare was not good, that it was actually really poor and probably borderlining on criminally negligent. Lots of evidence towards that. But they didn't see anything wrong. They're like, they love to tell themselves lies and cliches like, oh, well, no parent is perfect. Oh, everyone has problems with their kids. Oh, all teenagers go through this phase. Oh, all teenagers are depressed. Oh, all teenagers are never happy. Like they write it off. Narcissists are the kings and queens of writing things off. Excusing things, excuses, write-offs. Oh, show me a perfect set of parents. Oh, no parents set is perfect. Oh, we haven't read all those books, doctor, so we don't know how to parent based on the books. That's what you're for. You're supposed to tell us because you studied all that stuff. Just excuse after excuse. Can't quite simply just look and see, I don't think our parenting style is working here. We've lost one son and we could have lost another had he not basically sent out a massive cry for help on accident. Okay. So you can take Bobby's parents out and just say, despite its fruits, narcissists see no fault. And then you can fill in the blank in there, fill in the blank. Despite the fruits, narcs see no fault. Yep. Love to ignore reality. Exactly. So this speaks to, I feel like this goes back a little bit to our in-depth discussion of corporate cults and the expectations they have on you in these workplaces. And it says, the malignantly narcissistic insist upon affirmation independent of all findings. And this made me think of my buddy, AL, and I hope he's in the chat. I hope he's listening, but I know he'll hear it on a playback. Because his favorite saying is F your feelings ain't facts. Okay. And this is what I felt like this speaks to. The malignantly narcissistic insist upon affirmation independent of all findings. So, in other words, you want to be affirmed and praised in spite of the truth, in spite of reality, in spite of what has actually taken place. You want to be praised. Tell me I'm awesome. Tell me how great I am. Tell me how important I am. Tell me, tell me, tell me. Tell me all the time, too. So people like that obviously can't ever take criticism. And because they can't take criticism, they can't take correction. So you can never tell them when they're going down the wrong pathway, because that would be far from telling me that I'm awesome. I'm awesome. Tell me I'm awesome. You see? Affirmation independent of all findings. So in regard to Bobby's parents, in spite of the fact that their little family was kind of crumbling, they thought they were great parents. Praise us for being great parents. You know, you got parents, every single one of their children ends up in jail, but they still think they did a great job. You know, you got businesses that completely collapse and fail, but they blame it on customers and they blame it on the market. So they'll say, you know, the customer base just changed. Customer demands just changed and we just couldn't keep up, which is sometimes true. Sometimes companies cannot pivot that fast. Sometimes an innovation comes out that just puts a whole industry out of business. But a lot of times businesses go out of business of their own accord due to their own mismanagement and their own refusal to hear customers. For example, I'll give you a perfect example. I have discovered a new drink, you guys, and I'm not going to tell you what it is because I feel like if I do, you guys will all run out and buy it and there'll be an even greater shortage. So yes, I recognize that that is very selfish and I am sorry. I apologize for that. I just discovered it. I just want to enjoy it a little bit more before everybody learns about it, okay? But I will say this, it's an aloe-based drink. So it actually has aloe vera in it. I'll say that. Sounds disgusting. One of the best things I've ever had in my entire life. Well, they make about 8 different, not brands, but flavors, if you will. And I found this one flavor that just thinking about it puts me in a happy place. And I was able to find it for about 3 weeks at the same store. And I would just go get it, get my 2 little bottles, happy as a clam, right? And then I stopped seeing it. And I'm like, no, where is it? Where did it go? Where did it go? So I'm like, okay, we're in the middle of a global health situation, shipping shortages, all kinds of shortages. I'll just wait. Well, it's been like a month and I still don't see it. And it's not on their website either. It just says sold out. And I'm like, oh, dear God, no. So I wrote them a letter online. I sent them a little submission and I was like, hello, I recently discovered this drink. I absolutely love it. It's amazing. But I noticed that this particular flavor is out of stock everywhere. Please tell me you intend on making this still, you know, and do you have an anticipated return date? You know what they wrote me back, which really pissed me off? They wrote me back, which was great. Thanks for writing back. They wrote me back, hi, we're glad you love our drinks. Find our full selection of drinks on our website. And I'm like, I want to come choke you. I want to come harm you. I want to hurt you. That's not what I said. I said, I noticed that it's out everywhere. Everywhere. I think I even said including on the website, but I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I put that in there because I wanted to make it clear. It's out everywhere. Your response, find our full selection online. It's not what I asked you. That's not what I asked you. I'm asking you, this flavor, is it coming back? And you give me a total non-answer. Go find our full selection online. Not even seeing or realizing that the flavor I asked about is out on your website. It's out on your website too. Is it coming back? You see? So why do I bring up this and why am I venting about this right now? Because companies like that are perfect examples of affirmation independent of all findings. So I'm asking you a direct question, giving you direct feedback. Hey, I can't find this flavor anywhere. What's up? And you just go to the positive messaging. Hi, thanks. We're glad you love our drinks. Find our full selection online. I'm going to come find you. I'm going to come find you and I'm going to throw your computer across the room. Whoever wrote me back that message. So I'm going to try again, actually, because I'm kind of a junkie for it now. Yeah, I'm determined to find it again. But anyway, I'm going to write them back and say, hello, thank you for your response. But that's actually not what I asked you. I asked you, is this flavor coming back? Yes or no, so I can go ahead and grieve it now. Again, I recognize that's not fair to you guys. But to not tell you what brand and drink I'm talking about. But if it ever comes back in full force, and I know for a fact that it's going to be in stock, I will tell you because it's so good, y'all. And I just feel hydrated after I drink it. Like I don't want anything else, anything. Moving on, page 80. Science still doesn't know what's going on with these people. So this book was written in 1983. And he wrote this. He said, in the past 15 years, psychiatrists have begun to pay increasing attention to the phenomenon of narcissism, but our understanding of the subject is still in its infancy. So their understanding of narcissism was in its infancy in 1983, which was only about 37 years ago. So that's not that long. And I promise you, it hasn't grown that much. I feel like we're making more breakthroughs over here on this channel than the scientific community has. Because by and large, what I see published these days are articles that are just trying to get you to understand the narcissist, get you to make one with them, get you to stop, wrestling against their bad behavior, teaching you how to work around it, teaching you little workarounds and life hacks for dealing with an obstinate brat, but never anything about what's causing it. How can we possibly cure it? How can we make it stop? Because it actually has real and damaging effects. It has real consequences. Someone left a comment like that on one of these videos in the recent past, and they were like, oh, just stop. Just go on and live your life and stop worrying so much about the why. And my response to them was, the why is the most important thing that there is. Not knowing why is how we ended up here today. And the only way we fix it going forward is figuring out the why so we can prevent it. Goofy. People who never want to know why, you should avoid them as well. Stay away from them. Because that means that there's a lot of things going on in their life that they haven't taken the time to consider. And in not considering them, things are festering, growing, getting worse, getting more complicated by the day. And one day it's all going to collapse in on them. And you don't want to be around when that happens. Okay? You don't want to be part of that. So page 80 again, it says the particular brand of narcissism that characterizes evil people seems to be one that particularly afflicts the will. So there's something about the will in dealing with evil people and dealing with narcissists. Something about the will is very important. The will is very important. And I believe the will is very important to God as well. That willfulness, that stubbornness, that hard-headedness, God doesn't deal with that. Refuses to. Will turn you over to reprobate and never look back. Well, I'll put it this way. We'll turn you over to reprobate and we'll always be sitting there waiting. Really, it's you who never looks back. God is always there, but you can't live in this house and act any way that you want to. You will not. You will get out. Now, if you ever decide that you want to follow the rules and submit to something, you're more than welcome to come back, but you won't. Remember, like we talked about in the last stream, God doesn't turn his back on us. We turn our backs on God. Page 80, A Family Affair. It says, it is my experience that evil seems to run in families. Now, I found that kind of troubling, but at the same time, he did go on to say that the reason they still don't understand it, though, is because you still have children who are born of evil parents who don't become evil. They don't. So it's kind of beyond explanation. Like, how is it you can be born of two evil people and not be evil? You see? However, though, man, bloodlines are so important, you guys. Like, part of there's many reasons I don't have children, but one of those reasons is because I consider a man's bloodline. So when I'm dating a man, I'm dating him, of course, but I'm looking at his mama, his daddy, his brothers and his sisters, his cousins, all of them. I'm looking at everybody. And the main question I'm asking myself is, does good sense seem to run in this family or not? Because he might have good sense, the guy I'm dating, but what if he carries the seed of someone who doesn't? That's going to be a problem. So to my young ladies out there, or any lady in general who may be considering having a child, one thing you want to consider is that bloodline, and does good sense seem to run in that family or not? Because that will affect your life in more ways than one. Because truly, I don't want a child attached to a family that lacks good sense, because that family will probably always feel entitled to my child. Like, oh, I want to see my grandbaby. I want to see my grandson. I want to see my niece. I want to see my nephew. I want to see my cousin. I want them to come over. I want them to spend the night. And the answer is nope, 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 and nope. 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 And you know what's funny about that? As a child, my mom really wouldn't let me go over to other people's houses like that. She would occasionally. Like, I had like one or two neighborhood friends she was okay with, and like one friend from school that she was okay with. But more often than not, my mother was vetoing. And oh, as a child, I hated it, you guys. I used to hate it so much. I'm like, you don't let me have any fun. You don't let me go anywhere. You don't let me spend the night. You don't let me have sleepovers. You don't let me do anything, Mom. Like, I used to hate it, but now that I'm an adult, I get it. Oh, I understand. My mother had probably made the assessment at a higher level than a child can or does, and said, oh, no, oh, no, you're not going over there. Nope. No, you can't even go over there to play. Nope. Sorry. Yeah, I know you're mad. I can see that. I'm so sorry. But Mom had made the assessment that whoever it was I wanted to go, whoever's house it was I wanted to hang out with, their parents probably didn't have good sense, and she could see that. And I also forgot that adults kind of know each other a little bit. Not really, but kind of. So she may have already known the parents through the grapevine and been like, oh no, you're never going to their house. Totally get it now, Mom. As a child, I hated it though. It's like, why can't I spend the night? It's like, nah, it's going to be a no. Page 81, there seems to be a tendency. Oh, this is important. So this speaks to why narcissism and evil seem to grow over time with people. It says there seems to be a tendency for the good to get better and the bad to get worse. So those of you who are holding on, holding out hope, thinking they might change, going to marriage counseling, marriage couples therapy, couples retreat, trying to save it. Listen, in general, good people tend to get better and bad people tend to get worse. And every now and then, yes, you can have an exorcism of a bad person where they suddenly see the light, repent and turn away from all their wickedness and never do it again, and they make atonement for it. But that happens rarely, doesn't it? Isn't that a rare occurrence and a rare occasion that we actually see that happening? So Just know, in general, good people tend to get better and bad people tend to get worse. That does not mean good people never make mistakes, never mess up. You know what I mean? It does not mean good people are perfect. What it means, though, is that a good person, after they make a mistake, they're going to sit on it and meditate on it, think about it, consider it, maybe even consider why they did it, why they did what they did. They're going to apologize for it, try to make it right, and they'll never do it again because they remember not only how bad it made them feel, but how bad it made the other person feel as well. That's what good people do. So a lot of times when people who are older or, up in age do certain things, it's like, dude, I did that in high school. Like, wow. In other words, that's an error or a choice that I made in high school and I resolved. Why are you making that same quote unquote mistake at age 70? Do you see what I mean? We are supposed to evolve with time. We really are. We're supposed to improve, get better, and understand why certain things that we did weren't good. Do you see what I mean? You're supposed to understand the why behind it so you don't do it again, and also so you can impart that onto the next generation. So they don't have to make the same mistakes you did, so they can get a bit of a head start. They don't have to waste a lot of time behind simple, silly mistakes that are avoidable. You see what I mean? So in general, there's a tendency for the good to get better and the bad to get worse. Hate to say it, but it's true. So if you're wondering how your evil, wicked ex is doing, they're still evil, and they're still wicked, and probably more so than they were when they were with you. Okay? Carrying on that thread, evil is cultivated over time. So it says the longer we continue to make the wrong decisions, the more our heart hardens, the more often, sorry, let me start over. Wrong cadence. The longer we continue to make the wrong decisions, the more our heart hardens. The more often we make the right decision, the more our heart softens. Or better, perhaps, comes alive. Stop making the wrong decision back there. Make the right decision. Okay? So, in other words, as we continue to do the wrong thing over and over again, over and over again, you are hardening your heart with each bad and wrong decision that you know is wrong. Not one that you're making in good faith and it turns out to be wrong, one that you know you were wrong. The more you do that and you don't stop it, prevent it, apologize for it, fix it, the more hard your heart becomes. And this is why living with narcissists is so hard, because it's not only that they won't face the issue of the day, it's all the accumulated issues from the past as well that never got resolved and that are often feeding the issues of today. So the college ex that I've mentioned before and mentioned in the video, What Do I Look For in a Man? This is one of the reasons we broke up. Because I'm like, I just can't go forward with you if you refuse to have a real conversation with me. The only conversation you're willing to have is a conversation that's either about nonsense and minutia or something related to your praise, the praise of you. But anything real, anything that's affecting me or something I may not like or anything other than yay and amen, the conversation wasn't going to happen. He'd put it off. He'd call me dramatic. If he was there, he'd storm out the room or he'd have to get off the phone. And I was like, I'm not dealing with this level of childishness in my life. I'm not. Absolutely will not do it. I won't, because it's only going to get worse from here. And it did. Like over the course of the years that we were together, it got worse and worse. My people, are you still there? I'm so sorry. I accidentally knocked out my charger and then it sent everything haywire. Are y'all still there? That demon heard me talking about him. You see? We should still be live though. So I'm going to keep going. Okay. I want to plug it back in, but we'll just leave well enough alone for now. Okay. All right. Continuing on that same topic, we become evil over time through a long series of choices. This is something to meditate on. If you like to meditate or you like to sit and think about something, if you want to think about something from this episode, this would be it. We become evil over time through a long series of choices. Now, it can be argued that some people are just born wicked from the cradle, right? Cradle to grave, wicked. But I think what he's proposing here is that we don't all start off that way. It starts with a series of choices. So the child that's very unkind to animals or very unkind to other children, even though they're children, that's still a choice. Like, I don't remember ever going and like hitting another kid in the face or going up to another child and snatching something away from them that belongs to them or pushing another kid down on the playground. Like, I don't remember doing any of those things. And now that's not to say I didn't, because of course I don't recollect like birth to age, 3, 4. So who knows what I did, but I feel pretty certain my mother would have reported it to me because she seems to have reported pretty much everything from my childhood. I feel like she would have told me, yeah, you were a little bully when you were a little girl. She said I was very sweet. So what I'm saying is, yes, children are unaware. They're not quite there yet. But what if that's where it starts? The little evils and the little wicked things that they do as children that just compound over time, especially if the parents don't basically rebuke it and say, you cannot do that, and punish them, and hold them accountable for what they did. If they have parents that encourage that type of behavior, it's only going to get worse over time. Only going to get worse. Like these parents who like to do the pranks with the kids, like get the kids involved in pranks. And I'm not talking about the lighthearted pranks that really cause no harm. I'm talking about pranks that could kind of sort of cause some harm to someone or damage to property. And they get the kids involved in that. The parents that get away with that are teaching their children it's okay to kind of violate other people's boundaries as long as it's funny. So if that's getting rooted in a child at a young age, what do you think happens as that compounds over time? They continue to make a series of choices. Oh, it was supposed to be funny. Oh, it was a joke. Oh, you can't take a joke. Oh, you know what I mean? And before you know it, they are full-blown wicked people with all the excuses in the world. It's been compounding over time. You see? So people become evil over time through a long series of choices. And then what happens is they become very defensive because they've made so many bad choices that they have to defend all the time. They are in defense of those bad choices all the time. And then what happens is they usually find supporters in the form of flying monkeys who at some point might realize, I think I made a bad decision. But because they've already publicly aligned themselves with this person, they have to defend this person to the very end because they don't ever want to be able to say, wow, I really messed up. Wow, I really threw my support behind a monster. Wow, I really attached my support to a really low-level, classless person. Nope, can't do that. Now we got to go into ego and self-protection mode and defend it to the very end, even if they know that person is wrong. And this is how people become evil over time. It's a gradual process, one that Satan is more than happy to walk you through. He's got plenty of patience for it. And it's just little things that he'll present over time until before you know it, you've basically got like a little museum of bad choices. Page 82. This is discussing why the narcissist never looks back. It says, then with each step along the wrong road, it becomes increasingly difficult. Hey, what's wrong with y'all? Then with, oh my goodness. Hey, you're taking steps along the wrong road. Leave each other alone. Okay, we're coming up on a commercial break here soon. Well, then hop up out of her way. Jesus. Then, with each step along the wrong road, it becomes increasingly difficult for them to admit that they are on the wrong road, often only because they have to admit that they must go back to the first wrong turn and must accept the fact that they have wasted energy and time. Whew. This is very similar to the discussion when we said trying to get a narcissist to acknowledge truth and reality is like trying to get them to walk backwards down a staircase. Not walk forward down a staircase, which is easy. Walk backwards down a staircase. It's difficult. So similarly, this would be like a driving analogy. The narcissist is driving, you're in the passenger seat. You poor unfortunate soul. And you notice that you missed your exit, and you also notice that they didn't hear the GPS either. GPS says, get off 450 feet, get off to your right, exit 50. You notice they didn't hear that, and you also notice they just drove right by exit 50. So you wait a second to see if they pick up on that. A couple miles down the street, you're like, okay, they don't see that we missed our exit. So you say, hey, I think we missed our exit about 5 miles back. The narcissist say, no, we didn't. We're fine. And you're like, the GPS keeps saying redirecting. No. What do they say? Recalculating. Like, but the GPS is trying to turn you around. Oh, the GPS doesn't know anything. It's a robot. Okay. 10 hours later, you're in a whole nother state and you're like, I think we need to turn around now. And they're like, no, we don't. Why don't you have any faith in me? You never believe in me. I know what I'm doing. Okay. And next thing you know, you've driven from the East Coast to the West. And they'll tell you that's what they meant to do. Oh, I meant to drive to California. That's what I meant to do. It's like, no, we were going somewhere an hour away. Now we're in California. Why? Because they cannot admit that they were on the wrong road. And that means because they'd have to admit that they have to go back to the wrong turn. So to the point of poor choice is where they have to redirect themselves. The moment of bad choice is where they have to go. That one decision they made that changed everything, they have to go all the way back to that, and they don't want to. Backwards down that staircase. So instead, they will charge forward all the way to California, all the way to the opposite coast, rather than just get off on the next exit and turn around and backtrack. Mainly because they don't want you to see that. Now, if they were in the car by themselves, they probably would just get off as soon as they realized it, like, oh, I missed my exit. They'd get off, turn around, go back because nobody would know. But because you're there witnessing that, and you cannot witness their imperfection, they're going to drive all the way to the opposite coast just to prove that they know what they're doing and you're wrong and you need to leave them alone. Obstinate brat. Honey, I'd have to get out the car and roll. I'd grab my purse, my cell phone, zip it up as tight as I could, open the window, toss the purse out first. And they'd say, what in the world are you doing? And I say, listen, I'm not going all the way to this other coast with you. Unbuckle my seatbelt. They say if you put a foot out first, it'll help with the rolling action. If you just jump out, you're going to go like back, knees back. But if you put your foot out first, you kind of like trip onto the road. Does that make sense? So then I'm going to open the door. I'm going to stick my foot out, recognizing I'll probably break my ankle in this whole process, but breaking my ankle is better than being kidnapped to the other coast with you. So I'm going to put the foot out, catch that asphalt, hit that roll, that one, boom. Hopefully nothing's broken, pop up, run, go find the purse and take off. I'm out. Okay. The key though, when you're jumping out of a moving vehicle, you got to put those feet down first. So you hit the boom, 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 not the boom, pat, boom, pat. That's when stuff gets broken. You understand? Let's move on. We have all kinds of life hacks on this channel. Okay. Page 82. This is one of the attitudes that drives narcissists, okay? There's many, but this is one of the main ones that drives them. It says, I know what is supposed to be the right action in this situation, but I'll be damned if I'm going to be bound to notions of morality or even to my own conscience. In other words, I know what the right thing to do here is, but I have a choice. I could do the right thing or the wrong thing. Why not do the wrong thing? Why? Because it's an available option. That's how simplistic these people are. Simply because it's an option. Oh, what's the word people use? Contrarian. They're just contrarian for the sake of being contrarian, just to go against, just for the sake of doing it, because it's available. It's like, hey, this is the option that makes the most sense, but there is an option that makes no sense. And because it's there, I'm going to take it just to show you that I don't do the right thing just because you want me to. I'm free. I have free will. So I'm actually going to do the wrong thing just because it's an available option. Does that make sense to you guys? Like, and it probably doesn't, I hope it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. It's like, so you know what the right thing to do is. You're doing the wrong thing simply because it's an available option to do, simply because it's there. So in other words, if it wasn't there, you wouldn't do it. Wow. Stay away from people like that too. People who are just kind of the spirit and attitude. Why? Because it was there. Why? Because he was there. Why? Because she was there. People who can't apply, remember we were talking about evolving earlier, people who are still operating off of that brain stem versus the higher levels that they were supposed to evolve into, which says, hey, I see that other option, but that doesn't make any sense for me to choose it. I'm going to choose the option that profits me the most and makes the most sense. Not a narcissist, though. If the option is there, they're going to take it simply because it's there. Okay? I'm not going to be bound to notions of morality or even to my own conscience, because the thing about it is they're not going to be bound by anybody or anything. So a lot of Christian narcissists are really posers and fakers of the highest order, high order. Okay. And please hear me clearly. I'm not saying all Christians are narcissists. I said Christian narcissists. I put the adjective first. So in other words, narcissists who happen to also be Christians are the biggest fakes, phonies of the highest order, because they pretend that they submit to God, but they really don't. They really don't. And that's why they often say parishioners and people in the church are going to bust the gates of hell wide open, because of all people, you're supposed to be the one who knows how to submit to a higher authority, and you just do it for show, for pretense. You honor it with your mouth, but not with your heart, and certainly not with your actions. So I could do a whole video on that, but we won't. Let's get into the final slide, and then we'll actually take a commercial break, and then we'll go into after show, you guys. All right. The final slide to close out chapter 2 is we must ultimately belong either to God or the devil. And that's on page 83. And those are our options. Who do you belong to? Who do you want to go with? You can't go both. No, there's no joint custody here. Okay. No joint custody. It's full custody. in one direction or the other. So whose are you and who do you want to belong to? This is really the question and the choice that we ultimately must make really every day. But we have to make that decision. All right. Woo. Wow, this was an intense one. With that, you guys, we are going to go into our commercial break and then into our after show. I do need a little bit of a break. My voice is a little bit worn out, so our after show may not be very long, but I will do my best to get through as many comments as possible for our show, okay? So let me just get switched over here. Tongue twister. Welcome to everybody. Thank you for joining. Thanks for coming. We're a little early today because I wanted to try to capture some of the audience that never gets to see me live, because when I go live around 6 or 8 Eastern Standard Time, it's like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning for them. So they're all asleep. So I wanted to give them an opportunity to see me live. And I'm awake. That's important. When I actually have energy, I try to do live streams. Okay. So you guys, I'm going to take this puppy out really quick to use the potty, and I'll be back for our after show. All right. So here comes our commercial break. Thank you so much. You know how much I love you all. All right, you guys, I am back. Thank you for bearing with me. I know that was a long commercial break, but I needed it. We've been talking for almost 2 hours straight. So I'm going to try to make this a quick after show, but we all know how that goes. Every time I say it's going to be quick, we're here for like another hour, hour and a half. But welcome, you guys. Thanks for coming. I hope you guys are enjoying the series. I'm enjoying the book. I'm enjoying doing the series with you. I'm finding it very helpful to myself also. So I hope you guys are as well. Let's jump into some of these comments. We are officially in after show mode, and then we'll get out of here, you guys. Welcome, everybody. All right. Woo, right away, straight out the gate, straight away. It says they amputated their past so they can't conform any future. That's deep. So they can't craft a future because they've cut their past off completely from their awareness, from their acknowledgement. And truly, every day is a reflection of the day before, whether we like it or not. Ooh, that's deep. I like that. Yes, double down culture. Is this in relation to the comment about how they have to keep supporting someone they know is bad, or even, keep along a pathway they know is wrong? Because to go backwards is to acknowledge that they made a mistake. Yeah, that's doubling down 101. It's like, I made a mistake. People are calling me out for it. Double down. Oh, when people double down, listen, we talked about this already in the cancel culture video. But essentially, when I cancel like a celebrity or somebody, they're canceled forever to me. And the reason is because of, this is really the main reason, that doubling down. The refusal to ever back up a few steps and go, let me really listen to the arguments being made here and see what these people are saying. See if there's any validity to it whatsoever. Nope. It's like, I'm always right. I'm never wrong. I don't make any mistakes. Nope. I'm perfect. You're wrong. You're hater. Nope. When a celebrity starts to display that type of behavior, done. They're done in my book, finished. And the only way they could ever resurrect is to reflect back and acknowledge that and teach from it. So in other words, hey guys, I used to be a really horrible person. Here are some of the incidents. Here's why they were horrible. Here's why you shouldn't do them, and like advocate against it. Then you'll get my respect back. But oh no, when they start that doubling down, that's it for me. Because that tells me you'll never hear me either. So like, not that a celebrity and I would be friends. What I mean is, if a person is demonstrating double down behavior towards something else, that means when I finally have an issue, you won't hear me either. You'll double down on me also. So basically, you're kind of an unsafe person because you don't hear concerns and you don't see them either, or you ignore them. Let's see. So some people just accept they are evil and continue down this path, no matter the consequences. Yeah. Or maybe they just feel like I'm so far gone down this. I'm too far gone. Might as well keep going kind of situation. There is no turning back now, even though there always is. It's just hard and painful. Like, imagine, I'm going to give you another analogy in regard to the whole turning back thing. Imagine you're moving into a new apartment, right? And you go to the front office and you get the key, you sign the lease, you get the keys, and you unlock the door and you have the movers bring everything into the apartment, right? Everything, every box, every piece of furniture, everything. The van is empty. And you're like, yes, I'm finally done with my move, only to find out that you actually moved into the wrong apartment because the office gave you the wrong keys. And no, they're not going to be flexible and just let you stay in that apartment because that apartment belongs to someone else, whatever. Just hypothetically, imagine having to take out every single piece of furniture, every box, everything that you just put in there, take it out, take it down the stairs, take it to the next building over, and move everything back up the stairs. That's the equivalent of what it takes an evil person to undo the damage that they've done. It's the equivalent of just having moved into a new apartment only to find out it's the wrong one. And you have to get out and take everything out and put it into the correct place. That's the equivalent of it. And how much does that suck? How angry would you be? How furious would you be if you had to do that? Same thing. Let's see. Says PTE, you should be the voice of GPS systems. I'm going to reach out to them and say, hey, I need to be an option, but I want my GPS to have some attitude. I'll be like, in 400 feet, turn right, turn right. Oh, so you're just not going to turn right, huh? You just do whatever you want, huh? Continue 1 mile, then exit right. Like, I want to be able to engage with the people. Oh, so you don't follow directions, do you? Let's see here. Right? It says, I love that. My little rescue loves tearing up paper too, and he's so joyful doing it, right? It just fills her with so much happiness, which is why I have to keep things like books off the floor. Anything important, like an important letter, anything important that's paper, I have to keep off the floor because it's going to. She makes no distinction. Let's see. All right, I'm just scrolling through your comments. Thank you guys so much for being here. Right. It says humility, humble. They won't do, LOL. Right. That's the one thing they won't do. Because when you become humble or when you're showing humility, what you're basically doing is making yourself small, and not in a bad way either. You're not diminishing yourself. You're making yourself small or smaller. Does that make sense? So that's all humility and being humble really is the ability to make yourself small or smaller, like on purpose. They refuse to do it. They're the biggest things in the room. So big. Let's see here. Too far down the wrong road. You do reach a point, I believe, of no return in relationships, where it's kind of like, even if the person did start to want to say, I'm sorry, and backtrack, it's like the fact that you were able to go this far is what concerns me. You were able to take it this far and now you're finally backtracking. It's almost like there's a level of disgust there. Like the fact that somebody said it. Let me see if I screenshot it. It said something to the effect of managing a person's PTE. Shame on you. It was like, I don't want to have to manage a person's. Oh man, I can't believe I forgot this. Unbelievable. basically, I don't want to have to constantly manage to a person's bad behavior, essentially. Like the way they said it was just so perfect. I don't know where it is, where I saw it, anything. But it's like you're always having to, or they said something like, managing a person's bad behavior is exhausting or something like that. I hope I find it. I'll find it somewhere. But it was just too perfect. And it's true. Like, because a lot of what they'll try to push with self-help and things like that is, oh, how to be assertive and how to stand up for what you need and how to ask for what you need. Well, think about it like this. If you're trying to teach someone how to ask for what they need, that means that there's probably someone who's actively denying it, correct? So why don't we deal with the person who's actively making communication hard? It's not hard for me to ask you what I need, but what becomes difficult is when you start to ignore it or override it or write it off or act like it doesn't matter. That's when it becomes difficult to ask for what I need. So why don't we talk about the person who's acting like they don't understand their native language, the language of their birth, whatever that may be? Why can't I get a language barrier? That makes perfect sense to me. But two people speaking the same language, which is the language of their birth, and we can't make communication happen, one of those parties is an obstinate brat. Let's see here. This is what I'm going to do. Next time they start fighting, I'm going to say, use your words. Use your words. They love it, though. Oh, my goodness. Absolutely love it. The puppy loves getting hit in the face by the cats. Loves it. She loves it. And I think the cat, the one of them, likes being chased by her. The other one is not with it. Let's see here. All right, I'm just scrolling your comments still. Yes, yes. So this is in relation to them knowing the right thing, but seeing another option and simply choosing that option just because it's there. So the comment on the screen reads, just for the sake of creating an opposite? Yes. Yes. Yes, because in their minds, it's kind of like a why not type situation. Well, why not? It's there. It's there, isn't it? It's like, yeah, but that's the wrong thing to do. It's like, but it was there and I have free will and free choice. So I chose that. It's like, okay, well, yes, you did. And now there are consequences associated with that. And they're like, but why? I can't. Even having like fake conversations with them stresses me out. Stresses me out. Wow. It says book, The 10 Worlds of Happiness, says that the core delusion of sociopaths is that happiness means having unlimited freedom to do whatever they want, regardless. Oh, we got to add this book to the list. I'm going to just take a picture because it's the fastest, easiest thing for me to do. Boom. I'm putting that on the list. That sounds very intriguing. The core delusion of sociopaths is that happiness means having unlimited freedom to do whatever they want, regardless. Wow. And what they meet up against in that unlimited freedom are the natural laws, causes and effects, and things like that that exist beyond their control. Wow. That's pretty deep. Let's see here. Exactly. It's like, do you choose to go with God or the devil? And then the screen says, do you go with the truth or the lie? Which is another way to put it. Exactly. Are you going to live in truth or are you going to live a lie your whole life? Thank you so much. I love you guys too. I appreciate you guys coming and your support. Oh, we've crossed the 74,000 subscriber mark, by the way. So I've decided, you guys, I've made a decision. I teased this idea, but now I'm making a decision and a commitment. If and or when I hit 100,000 subscribers, and it has to hold. So it has to hold for like a month. So it's not going to happen at like 100,001. It'll have to be like 100,100 or like 100,200. It has to hold is what I mean. But once we hit that milestone, I will come on camera and say hello. Now, I am not going to make it a habit of coming on camera all the time because, honey, I'm just not camera ready all the time. And sometimes the content, the inspiration for the content is hitting me, and I just have to do it when it's hitting me. If I incorporated hair, makeup, outfit, cleaning up the background into all of that, the inspiration would go. So, however, I do think though, if or when we get to 100,000, I think you guys have earned it. Like, you've been with me all this time. You supported the channel on my voice alone. I think by 100,000, you all will have earned the right to meet me, right? I think that's only fair. And it'll be that one and only time probably. Now, I'll come on occasionally. I'll come on every now and then. But I will come on and say hello at 100,000. And then we'll go right back to this format until something else special happens, or until I happen to be looking okay that day. We don't even have to be going for great, just okay. I'll pop on. So there's my commitment. There's my challenge to you. We're at 74,000 subs. Once we cross over 100,000 and it holds, has to hold, because I piss people off every other day. So y'all get angry with me and unsubscribe, which is fine. So it has to hold. I'll come on and say hello. Okay. So that should be something to look forward to in the future on this channel. Let's see here. I'm deciding what hair I'm going to greet you guys with. If I want you all to meet my hair in her full natural state, or if I'm going to cave to societal pressures and straighten her out and press it and come on camera with pressed hair. I'm trying to decide. Do you hit them with full natural PTE, or do you hit them with straight haired PTE and work them up to full natural? What do you do? What do you do? Let's keep going here. Let's see. Okay, so about this, it says the book Interview with the Devil is very good and highly recommend to everyone here. So this is so funny that you say this, because this book is on YouTube, right? The audio version. And y'all, I was trying so hard to develop content around this book. And I ended up stopping because it's so, oh man. It's just like this one. It's very profound, very rich. It's hard to explain, but there's so many concepts in there that I wanted to present to you guys. And one of those is how the devil, hypothetically, this hypothetical conversation this man is having with the devil, says that like he gets people through, things like addictions, for example, because an addiction is a breakdown of the will. So it starts with a choice, right? The choice to drink alcohol, the choice to do a drug, the choice to smoke, the choice to whatever your addiction is, food even, the choice to eat something that you know you shouldn't be eating, whatever. And eventually that choice erodes and degrades into a breakdown of the will, to the point where now that thing is controlling you. You're no longer in control. And the devil is basically saying that he has access points. That's how one of the access points, breaking down the will of a person first, through things like addiction. Oh, it's so deep. I have to find a way to do it. I have to figure out how to present it, because it's so good, y'all. But if you want to go ahead and listen to it now, it is on YouTube. It's called Interview with the Devil. Try to find the one that doesn't have an ad every 6 seconds, because that's super annoying. Let's see here. Says, I don't know if I should laugh or be concerned about how deep you dived into that analogy of jumping out of the car. Thanks for the tip, though. You are welcome. You can do both. You can laugh and be concerned, because I'm so serious. If you start to kidnap me cross country and I'm like, we missed our exit an hour ago, where are we going? And you're just we're going where I say we're going. I'm like, all right, then I'm going to put my phone in my purse. I'm going to roll down the window. The purse has to go first, because if you leave the purse behind, obviously the narc is just going to keep driving, because now you have nothing, no wallet, no cell phone, nothing. So you got to chuck your purse first. Yeah, it'll be about a half a mile behind you on the street. That's fine. The important thing is you have your purse. Then you got to tuck and roll, but you got to put those feet out first. Put those feet out. It's probably going to hurt. You're probably going to twist your ankle or break something, but a broken ankle or twisted ankle is better than a broken leg, back, or neck. You see? And you just got to go for it and just let the roll happen. Let physics take over, and that's your objective. Is your objective. Not slam, bang, boom. That's not your objective, okay? Just trying to tell you guys what I know. Let's see here. Oh, do you like that little song? Good. Good. I so debate like music, because I know that like some people don't like all music, which is fine. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to just have them sitting in silence, though. I really want to start putting artists back on again. That was really fun. I think part of the reason I stopped doing that is because all this stuff happened with the global health situation. And it just, life kind of got depressing there for a minute. It's not better, but I don't know. Things are starting to look up, I guess. I don't know. But it just didn't seem appropriate to have like fun, happy, celebratory songs when the world is shut down and people are dying everywhere. So I don't know. It just felt weird. But I think it might be good for us to get back into that. I have to take a poll. Do you all prefer complete silence, or do you prefer some kind of sound? I don't know. Let's see here. All right, let's see. It jumped. Let me scroll up just a little bit, and then I think we'll get out of here. They really do. When you're going through it, since I listen to all the narcissistic abuse channels all day, they keep me strong. And of course, prayer, his truth keeps me strong. Praise God. It will. I'm telling you, like, I don't listen to the narc channels much. Well, I never really did after I started this channel, because I didn't want other people's ideas to accidentally come out as my own, which is very easy to do. You hear something, you're not sure where you heard it, then it gets incorporated into your psyche, and then suddenly you think you thought it up. So that's why I didn't want to cross-contaminate, basically. But also, I really keep these people away from me these days, you guys. I really do. I've done a pretty thorough job of purging. I don't let them around me. I don't put myself around them. Obviously, I can't always control when one will pop up. But I have very, very thoroughly removed myself from a lot of them. So I really don't get bothered by them as much these days. However, the memories of what I've been through with these people, and even the active narcissism we see in our society every day, helps me contribute content still. But when I was going through it, oh man, those channels were lifesavers. Because having someone understand you is so important. Having someone believe you, know that you're telling the truth, be able to speak to their own experience that was similar is so important, because narcs will mask it all. They'll never talk about this on mainstream. Or if they did, they'll ruin it. Like if they ever started like a narcissism awareness channel, like on a cable television news network or something, they'd absolutely ruin it. They'd ruin it with positivity. You gotta be positive. Narcissists are people too. So we're going to learn how to deal with our most difficult people, the narcissist. Step one, like they'll make it bubbly and fun and pop. And no, this isn't bubbly, fun, or pop. We laugh a lot. We do have a lot of good laughs, but it's serious and they don't want to take it serious. Probably because they are them. Let's see here. All right, let me try to find one good one to close on and we'll get out of here, okay? Let's see. Hey, Issa, how are you? Let's see. All right. I want to just close on a good comment and we'll get out of here. Okay. They're all good, but I like to close on one that punch you right in the gut. Let's see. Let's see. There's so many to choose from. Let's see if I can find a good one. Well, if not, it's okay. I don't have to close on a comment. Okay. Well, I will just go ahead and close, you guys, and say thank you all so much for coming to the show. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of your comments. Even if your comment doesn't get read or selected, do know that once the show uploads to YouTube and the comments process, I go back and watch the whole thing and I read all the comments. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I have to wash my hair today, and that is a process that takes about 6 hours, guys, and I'm not kidding, from start to finish. So I look forward to sitting, doing my hair, watching the show, and reading your comments as they scroll by a little bit later on. But thank you all so much. So this is going to wrap up chapter 2. Finally, we will pick up with chapter 3 next time, the topic of which is, yikes, hold on. The encounter with evil in everyday life, and that starts on page 85. All right, so if you're reading along, that's where we are, and we are going to slowly make our way through this book. I know I said 3 months on this book, but I think this might be another year-long series. Only because look how long it took us to get through chapter 2. So if it took us this long to get through chapter 2, I can only imagine how long it's going to take the remaining chapters, even though it's not a very long book, but it's just very content rich and heavy. So, and I think it's worth it to comb through. We need to be having these discussions. We need some serious healing and some serious help out here in this world. So with that, guys, I will leave the chat open. I will leave the chat open for you all to wrap up your conversations, and I'll close it in about 5 minutes. Thank you all so much, and I'll talk to you again very, very soon, okay? Bye.